Hey everyone, this is Jamie Leha, and today I am sharing a process video putting together a traveler's notebook page for my One Little Word notebook. So I have two One Little Word projects going. So I have the One Little Word journal where I am doing the monthly prompts, and then because that journal doesn't really have enough room to kind of share stories about the share stories related to my word, things that are happening during the month. I discovered in my bin of One Little Word supplies that I had purchased a One Little Word traveler's notebook last year. So I pulled that out and I decided I would put it to use this year to document some of the stories that are related to my One Little Word for 2021. My word this year is work. And I know we're only in the very early parts of the year, but I've actually done a lot of progress with regards to my word. So I'm really excited about that. You just saw me rifling through my project bin of book related items or reading related items because when I sat down, I didn't have a sense of what products I wanted to use. So I just pulled that bin out. And one of the things that I had in there was the Read Collection by Ali Edwards. And I really loved all of the browns. There's kind of a rusty brown and a more tan brown, and I just love that contrast with some of the more colder tones like this gray and the blue. So I pulled a few items from there as well as a few stamp sets that I have. I have so many read related or book related stamp sets. It's not even funny. So you saw me rifling through probably 20 plus stamp sets just to pull a few that had sentiments related to either shelfy or in the stacks, something along those lines. Because this little layout is all about the bookshelf rearranging project that I did at the very beginning of this year. What I'm doing in regards to my One Little Word, which is work, is kind of looking around my home and thinking to myself, what isn't working? And our bookshelves in our living room haven't been working for a good while. So I decided I will tackle that project this year. What the case was is that I had my bookshelves organized in such a way that they were rainbow color coded. And they looked so beautiful like that. I really enjoyed it. But it wasn't a sustainable method for arranging my books, as you may imagine, because throughout the years I've been collecting more books. And it wasn't really possible for me to add to those rainbow bookshelves the way that I wanted to. So I ended up taking everything off the bookshelves and putting them back up on the bookshelf, not in rainbow order, but rather in, I guess, theme order. I have two bookshelves on either side of a fireplace in our living room, and on the left side are all of our nonfiction books, and on the right side are all of my fiction books. So that process took up, just about a day at the beginning of the year. And so I took a before photo and I took an after photo, and that is what I'm documenting in this traveler's notebook spread. Um, like I said, I didn't really have a idea of the products that I was going to use, but I had sketched out in a notebook just the idea of what this layout would look like, and it included um, two pattern paper on the left side or two pieces of paper on the left side that one was cut in like diagonal, and it included the "What Isn't Working" um, title on its side like that on the right hand side of the layout, and then a journaling block there. And I had ideas to do some embellishing, usually in three places around the layout. Um, and right now, though, I'm just building the background using the various stamp sets that I have. I really like stamping and then stamping off one or two other times, and you get this kind of faded look. I like that, especially for anything book or reading related, because it reminds me of the good old days of the library, like the little library cards that were inside the book, where the librarian would stamp the um, the return date that you needed to bring the book back. And sometimes they had to do it once or twice because they didn't get a good impression the first time. And it just kind of is reminiscent of that for me. So I definitely wanted to include something that alluded to that on this layout. And so what I did was just take a few different stamp sets, and I stamped in two different places, in that top right corner and then in the bottom um, right corner of the left-hand side of the layout. So that added just a little bit of interest, so that I used a blue cardstock base as the background for that, just so it wasn't as plain and had some sort of design to it. Ideally, I would have probably liked to do it in three places, but it only worked out to, because this is a smaller layout, it only worked out to where I would do it in the two places. And I think it looks just fine. It kind of flows from that bottom left edge to the top right edge, and I like how that works. So now you'll see me just playing with some of the embellishments that I had pulled from the Ali Edwards Reed collection. I think she released this in 2019, if I'm not wrong. I'm not sure if any of it is still available in her shop. I think you can probably get the digital version of all of this. But I really loved the kind of um, I guess more earthy tones to these. And she did include, though, pops of blue that added a bit of a coolness to the color scheme. There was a lot of different types of embellishments. There are these great, like, I think maybe plastic bubble, speech bubbles, or well, that specifically, the one that I have on my layout is a speech bubble. But there are these little plastic embellishments. There's stickers. There's chipboard. There's felt hearts. Oh, these felt hearts are gorgeous. I loved the color combo altogether. But I only ended up using just one on this layout. And I had in my sketch, before I had started this, that I would add embellishments in three different places on the layout. But again, it didn't really work for the small format the way that I had sketched it out. So I only ended up putting them in two different places on the page. And I think, again, that's fine because this is a smaller layout. I really loved that rust color, that kind of rusty brown juxtaposed with the gray and the blue. Like that, I think is just a really pretty combo. I love mixing, if I'm going to use brown, which brown is one of the colors that I scrap with the least. Um, if I'm going to use brown, I like to mix it in with colder tones. Don't know why. It's just kind of a quirky thing. I do that actually with my clothing choices as well. I really like, I always seem to favor brown boots, and so then I have to figure out how to wear them, and I end up pairing them with some of the colder tones. I like mixing black and brown as well. I think having lived in Europe, that lends itself to it. Um, Seems they don't have as many hangups about mixing brown and black as we do here in the United States. So I have a pretty good idea at this point of how the layout is going to be. And I'm just sitting back and making sure that I like the way that it looks. And for me, it was also kind of a less is more approach as well. I tried again the third kind of spot on the layout, and it just wasn't working. And I think part of it too was like I have all of these really great embellishments, and I wanted to use them, but it wasn't really working for this very tiny layout to include lots and lots of embellishments. So I opted to not. And I'm finally kind of taking the plunge at this point and adhering things down. I ended up adding a die cut that says book lover. I have a sticker on there, but I ended up peeling that particular sticker off and replacing it with a sticker that coordinated with that rubber piece that I'm adhering now, just to add another place where that gorgeous rust color was in the layout. I'm adhering and sticking to the tiny little, it's green colored actually, a tiny green colored felt heart from Ali. Again, I just love those felt hearts that she has been making in her various collections. and kits throughout the years. And the last step was um, adhering in the pages into the one little word notebook that I'm using for this and calling it done. You'll see, saw just a hint, a peek there of another page that I've created. So be on the lookout for that process video, which is coming soon. Thank you so much for watching.